In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create one form to manage your entire business. So this is typically for larger organizations who have a lot of different processes and many different departments. As a result, lots of tasks, lots of moving parts. Now, this is actually for a client that has very recently engaged us. They're in a bit of a crisis situation at the moment. They need a system very, very quickly. They currently do not have one. And this is kind of like phase one of the engagement with them. We're going to build this particular form system out, and then from there begin to work on the different departments within the organization to get everything up and running. So as you can see here, I am in our Monday.com system. Well, it's actually their Monday.com system, but you don't know that. And then what we're going to do is press the plus button on the left-hand side, and we're going to go ahead and add a new board. Now, I'm going to call this the hosting board form. And what I will do is I'm going to make this private, and I'm going to call this the hosting or submission, probably mission. There we go. So once we have done that, we've now created the beginning of the form, which is the most important part. Okay. And on this board, we're going to manage all of our different form submissions and then redirect them to different departments within the business. Now I've got the form. I'm now going to go ahead and create a few different boards. This is one for sales. I'll make this private. I'm just going to call this tasks. And I will press create board as well. And then what we'll do is we'll just duplicate this board just to save us a ton of time. So on the hosting board form, what we need is firstly department. So which department is this particular task for? And in this instance, we've got a few different options. So I'm going to use the status option for that. We've got finance. We then have HR. We then have sales. We then have construction. We then have we then have operations, and then within operations we've got, how do I want to do this? I'll probably do it as just split. So we've got fleet, we have fabrication, we have, as you can tell, it's a construction company, services, or service actually, is that what that is? Yep. We've got yard, and then we have residential. So these are all of the different departments within the business, okay? And we need to have a form to redirect different tasks to different businesses. Now, like I said, we build this out mainly for very large or larger organizations, but this is a fantastic place to start. So that's department done, and that's just going to be like our, I don't know, if you think about it as a telephone, that is the main line, and then we redirect from there. I'm then going to add a date column. So what I'm going to do is date column. What I'm going to do is just change this to restrict column editing so no one can edit this. And I'm going to change this to date created. This allows us to track when this particular submission came in. I'm going to delete the files column, which comes as standard. And then I'm going to rename the group. So we've got new submission, and then I've got pushed to board. There we go. Awesome. So when a new submission comes in, it's going to come in here, and then when the automation runs, which I'm going to show you how to set up in this video, then push it over to the board. So a high column summary. For that, we can also delete the person column just for the time being. So now we have the makings of our board. Again, doesn't look like there's much makings going on, but that's absolutely fine. So then we also want to add a job number or a job reference. So if someone is submitting a task for another department in reference to a particular job, which most of the time they will be, we'll need a job reference. So we can add that in as a column. We'll also need the status. So that's going to be just managed on the actual boards themselves. That won't matter so much. Due date, priority, and additional information, which I all want. So I'll add a date column. I will add a priority column. Which is nice because Monday.com has those. It's pretty much a status column. And then I'm also going to add an additional information. So I'm just going to call this a long text. There we go. So priority, date. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set this. I won't actually set this as a deadline date within this particular board. We've got priority, and then I'm just going to change the name of this to due date. So we've got job department. So I select my department, and then the job reference, the due date, the priority, and then any additional information. And then just in the instance of this particular company, because there are so many of them, we've not ramped all of the users yet, so we've not onboarded everyone. So what we're also going to do is add a couple of columns just to manage who's actually submitted this request, requester, and then requester email. think that's going to be the best naming convention I've got off the top of my head. Then I'll add an email. So let's request the email. There we go. So now I know who's put in this request, and if I need to contact them, plus we can add some automations. That's all available to do. So department, job reference, due date, priority, additional information, requester, email. I'll probably bump that stuff up to the top just for the formatting. Item name's not a problem. What I might also add actually is an item ID, which is a unique reference ID for that particular task. Now, at the moment, it's not a text column. There's not much you can do with this, but if you push it over from the hosting board to the relevant department board, you can then turn that into a text column. We can reference it as an item ID. So I'm just going to call this UUID because I don't like that item ID terminology. What else do I need to add? I think that is about everything. Cool. So pretty self-explanatory. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to delete these example items from the board because we do not need these. Then I'm going to go ahead and create my form. So form on the hosting board form. I don't need an introduction. Thank you very much. I just want to build my form. Close this down. First and foremost, if we just go to customize, we don't need a welcome screen. Submission view, we want to hide the branding. Form restrictions, if you need any. I don't think you do. I don't know why there's a password on there, but we don't want password protection. That'd be a disaster. Thank you screen, that's all good. We show resubmit button. I'm happy with the success image. Monday.com settings. I want to remove the name question in the form. I don't want to sync the question and the column titles. And my submission group is new submissions. Allow creating items via form. I'm not sure what that means. Include update section and form. Okay, cool. There we go. So that's absolutely everything. So now we just need to build it. So hosting board form, I'm just going to call this task. So company task form. There we go. And then you could add a fancy looking logo if you wanted to. You can redesign the colors and everything else. So you could make this a nice red if you want to go blind. I'm just going to keep it as white for the time being. And then the requester. So the nice thing is obviously the columns on the board are going to remain the same. But if I would say, what is your name? Because we've got to make this super simple. What is your name? What is your email? This is for the purpose of submitting information. So what is your name? Question settings. I'm going to make this required. What is your email? Question settings required. Department. What department is this task for? Question mark. Question settings, and then I'm going to set that as required as well. And then I'm going to add, what I might do just above here is add the job reference and then set this as required as well. And then we've got due date and priority, and then any additional information. All of this, to be honest with you, should be required if you ask me. I know this is pretty basic, but I think this is just what needs to be done. Date created can obviously be hidden, hide question. And that's pretty much a form. Like if I press publish, hit preview, this is going to open our form page. So company task form, what is your name, email, job reference, what department is this task for? We've got due date. I'm going to change some of the names actually. That is a very good point. So what is the job reference? Please provide a job reference if applicable. Job reference if applicable. Exclamation mark, maybe a full stop. Just change the spelling error there, and then actually I don't need this as required. And then due date, priority, and additional information all need to be included. Nice. Actually, I might move this to the bottom. I know this is peculiar, but no. Job reference above priority. There we go. I'm getting happy with this. Cool. So what is the task in reference? What is this task? You know what, actually, you could add the naming. Additional information. Please provide additional information about. Please provide information. Task information, let's call this. Please provide information relating to this task. Full stop. What is the priority of this task? The priority of this task, question mark. Please provide a job reference if applicable. Yeah, what's the priority of this task? When is the task due? When is this task due? Question mark. There we go. And then what department is this task for? What is your email? Okay, so the reason I've done all of that is keep things super, super simple. You've got to assume, and I know this isn't particularly polite, but you do have to assume that anyone that's looking at this form is a complete idiot. And absolutely by no stretch of the imagination are they idiots, but you just got to make it simple. So mistakes cannot be made. So company task form, what is your name? What is your email? What department is this task for? When is the task due? The job reference, please provide a job reference if applicable. What is the priority of this task? And then task information, please provide information relating to this task. That seems to me relatively self-explanatory. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create some automations. So we're going to automate in the top right hand corner, go to board automations, add automation when item is created. First and foremost, we want to set our date created column to today. So when item created, not due date, date created, there we go, to today, bang. So that's one job done. Also, what we want to do is when item is created, and then we want to create a filter, and only if status is equal to department, let's say finance to start with, then create an item in the finance board. And we're just going to create a load of those. But before we do, I'm just going to add all of our different department boards. So I'm going to add a folder. I'm going to call this departments. Hit enter. And then I'm going to add all of these, but I'm just going to create one for the time being. And now we're just creating a simple to-do list. So to do, doing, and then done. Very easy. Doing, and then done. Hit enter. I wonder what I'm going to title this video. So, and then I'm going to change my status options to reflect. So what I would typically do is use this as the default label. To do, doing, doing, done. Yeah, let's keep stuck actually. I might even add a group for that. So I'm going to add a group stuck. Change the color to a bright red just so everyone knows that something has gone horribly wrong. To do, doing, stuck, done, and then change this to the purple so it reflects. There we go. Again, what I'm going to do is change the date column to date created. I'm going to restrict the column editing, delete the file option, automate that when an item is created, we're going to set the date created to today. That's the wrong option. Item created, set date to today. There we go, date created, create automation. And then we just need to map out the relevant information that reflects from the hosting board form all the way over. So job reference, requester email, due date priority, and additional information, and a UUID. So it's all pretty straightforward. So I'm going to add a text for the UUID. I'm just going to call this UUID. There we go. There's a reason we might do this as well. As what we can do is when a new task is added, we can send an email to the person that's requested to say this is the UUID for that particular task as well. So we'll have requester in the text and requester, and then add another column on the right hand side that is the email. So we've got then requester email as well. Requester email. So these are all going to map across really, really nicely. We've got priority, add column to the right, priority. We also have add column to the right. I think it was date, yeah, due date. There we go. Priority. So the way this is going to work is there going to be multiple people within each department, and then with it, the manager of that particular department can then assign an owner to a task. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this due date as a deadline and then associate it with the owner and the status, connect the columns. That makes things a bit easier. I'm going to move this down a little bit just so it's out the way because it's less relevant information. Priority can sit there. So we've got owner, status, due date, requester. We've got long text for additional information, and I think that's about everything. You can tell I've done this a few times. I might actually bump this up there. Cool. So let me just check hosting board. No, do we have a job reference? I don't think we do have a job reference. Requester, email, department, job reference, due date, priority, additional information. I don't think we do have a job reference. No, we do not have a job reference. So what I might do, add that to the right, text column. And then what we'll do is we will hit job reference as well. Reference. There we go. So now all of the columns on here on the hosting board form and a map to each of the different departments. What we can do to save an enormous amount of time, actually before we do that, let me just automate it all. So when status, you know what, actually add another date column just before I skip past this. Call this one date completed. Oh, no, thank you. Date completed. And then what we'll do is I'm going to hide the column summary on this one as well. And then I'm going to restrict column editing. I'm going to say when status is equal to done, then set date completed date to today. But let's just go through and add all of these automations. So when status changes to do, move item to group to do. Very straightforward. When status changes to doing, then move item to group doing, create automation. And then we might do when status changes to stuck, then move item to group stuck. And what we could do is add a notification. Now we don't have email set up at the moment, but what we could do is add a notification to say to the requester, the person that actually put the submission in, that it is stuck, and then we hit create automation. There we go. And then also, and finally, when the status changes to done, move item to group done, and set date to today. Date completed, create automation. Bang, there we go. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. So now we have our task board, and everything is going to pull over from the hosting board to the departments. So now I'm going to quickly go ahead and firstly save my camera because it's got 2 minutes of recording left. And then I'm going to go ahead and build out all of these different departments. Then we'll set up the automations. As I was saying, we're now going to build out all of the different departments as boards and then create the automations from the hosting board to the different departments as tasks. Where I left off was we completed all of the automations here. I don't think there's anything else that I need to take into consideration. UUID I might move there. Requester email, requester, don't know why that's moved. Job reference, yeah, I'm happy with all of this. Cool. Okay, that's fantastic. So to do doing, stuck, done. Awesome. And now we're just going to duplicate this for all of the various departments. Duplicate, and this one's going to be called finance, board structure and items. No, board structure only. Thank you. And then I'm going to do the same again. Duplicate board, and I'm going to call this one HR, board structure as well. And then I'm going to do the same again. Super simple. Sales, we've already got. Pre-construction dash construction, and then I'm going to hit duplicate again. And then I'm going to hit another one and press, what am I doing? There we go. Duplicate board, and then I've got operations. So this is probably mod general. And then within operations, we have different boards. So we've got fleet. What am I doing? Duplicate. Force of habit, or force of habit, one of the two. Fleet. We've then got fabrication. Every time, man. Fleet. Fabrication, duplicate, service, yard, duplicate, service, duplicate, yard, and then with one final one being construction, duplicate again, not construction, residential. Awesome, there we go. What I might do is add an additional folder just for ops. So within ops, we'll have all of these, just so it doesn't look so messy. Residential, rename that, operations, stick the operations in there as well. And then add another folder just for the sales-esque department. So sales and pre-construction kind of coincide with one another. Pre-construction, and then I would stick that up the top. Actually, what I might do is, yeah, leave it at that. I'll do for the time being. You kind of get the principle. I'm sure the client will come back and ask for some changes or some feedback, which is absolutely fine. And then finally, what we want to do is all of the submissions that come from the hosting board obviously need to auto-populate to the different areas of the business. And these reflect the different areas of the business. You know what? I don't like this. So I'm just going to change the folder names. I'm going to call this delivery. And then I'm going to put all of this in here. Yard, service, fabrication, fleet. And then I'm going to put finance and HR in operations. And then I'll put that folder within there. There we go. I like that. Departments. Cool. Okay, cool. So now on the form, what we're going to, no, not on the form. All we need to do is create a ton of automation. So add automation in the top left-hand corner. I'll go top right, then top left. And then when it says when item created, and only if status is equal to blah, 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 which one would it be? Status is equal to department is, let's start with finance, then create item in board. Create item in board, board being finance. There we go. And then item is literally going to map. So name, we need to come up with a creative option for. Status doesn't need to pull through. Priority, due date, additional information, requester email, date created we don't want coming across. And then the UUID being the item ID, which should pull through. There we go. And then the owner, again, we can leave. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is the name. So what I might do is do requester dash UUID. This could change. So requester dash, and then I would do item ID in this instance. There we go. Done. So create automation. And then all we need to do is, again, duplicate this. And we need to change department is HR, create an item in board. HR, I'm hoping it's going to reflect. Amazing. That means I've done a good job. This is a straightforward duplication option. So then we go HR, we go sales, and then item is sales. No, not that one. Oh, this might have broken my. No, it worked. Nice. Sales. And then again, duplicate automation, and then go sales to pre-construction, and then to pre-construction. Items should be all the same. Again, I'm just checking just to make sure. Monday.com does make some surprises every now and again. There is one really crucial thing that I'm completely forgetting to do, is then I need to go move item to group. Move item to group, push to board. And then I need to do the same for all of the automations that I've accidentally forgotten not to do this for, which is a bit annoying. Move item to group, push to board again. Then move item to group, push to board. What a muppet. And then one more. There we go. Move item to group, push to board. Awesome. There we go. Fantastic. And then we can continue on our way. So duplicate. And then I think we've done pre-construction. So it's then fleet. Create item in board fleet. Item information should populate exactly the same as we want it to. Fantastic. And again, duplicate. We've changed this one to fabrication. Create item in board fabrication. Fantastic. Should have checked. I'm sure it'll be fine. I will double check nonetheless. Yeah, all done. Cool. You can go away. Whoops. Then again, duplicate automation from fabrication to service, yard and residential. They're the only ones to get left. Service, there we go. Item, requester, that's all good. Happy with that. And then duplicate again. Hopefully someone skipped through this for you. Item being yard. There we go. Fantastic. Job reference, status priority. Yeah, cool. And then we have duplication is where status equals to. It's always on the last one that Monday wants to glitch out. Why? There we go. Yard and then residential. Fantastic. And check the item one final time. Done. Awesome. So now, within the space of what I assume to be about 20-30 minutes, we've created one board with one form that can manage an entire business, which is pretty cool. So let's put it to practice. Copy link, Command C. So let's put it to practice. Let's just open it up. How do I want to do this? So let's put it to practice. If I go edit and press publish, preview. What is your name? Nick. What is your email? nick@crmcrew.com. Department is for sales. Task is due, should we say, end of the month, 30th. Job reference, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's priority of the task? It is critical, and this is task information. If I can spell this, is task information. And then all I need to do is hit the submit button. That is then going to push over to my main table as a new submission. That then pushes automatically over to the sales board, Nick dash the item ID, job reference, task, to do, requester email, date completed, walk through, yeah, got the task. So department management would see this, right, I'm going to assign it CRM crew development now. They're responsible for it. I'll change the status to doing. That will then move them to the group doing. Then it becomes done. That then changes the status or updates the date to date completed here. And we have all of the information that we could possibly need, and everything can be managed from the My Work page. So as you can see from this video, that's how you would manage an entire business with tasks from one form inside of monday.com. Again, this kind of completely removes the need for emails now. The only thing that we're missing, in my opinion, is email automations saying that, hey, this task has been done to the person that requested the task to be completed. So now I'm going to send this over to the client, see what they think of everything, and go from there. Hopefully this video has been somewhat insightful. If you do need any help at all setting up monday.com for your business, whether that be automations, integrations with other systems, or literally anything else as complicated and as crazy as you can think of, we would be delighted to help. So thank you ever so much for watching. Again, I hope to see you soon in the next video, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.